is KPIX 5 News.
Hi, everyone, and good morning. It's Tuesday. It's May the 12th. I'm Frank Malico.
And I'm Michelle Griego. Time now is 6 o'clock.
And right now, at least 42 people have died in another strong earthquake in Nepal. Today, nearly 1,000 people have been injured. The quake had a magnitude 7.3, centered near the Chinese border. It was followed by at least 5 aftershocks. Panic residents rushing out of buildings at Kathmandu. Once again, several buildings collapsed in an isolated town. Rescuers are now searching for survivors in the rubble. Last month, the quake measuring 7.8 hit that same region, killing more than 8,000 people.
Robbers break into a San Jose home twice, but this time the intruders are caught on camera. And this morning, they're still on the loose. The invasion was recorded on video last Friday in the Evergreen neighborhood. Armed with knives, the would-be robbers searched bedrooms upstairs until they got to the room where 3 family members were hiding. They called police, which scared the robbers off.
They better be afraid. Their faces are on the YouTube. They see me now, so they better run as far as they can. But they're going to get caught.
And the owner decided to install the surveillance cameras after his home was invaded the first time.
A million people in the Silicon Valley will soon have to ration their water. KPIX 5's Kit Doe is in San Jose, which becomes the biggest city to force those water cuts. Kit, good morning.
Good morning. San Jose Water announced these big plans late last night, now making this city the leader in the fight against this drought, this historic drought that we've seen in the last couple of years here. So in just a couple of weeks, nearly everybody in the South Bay will face mandatory water cutbacks or else pay some stiff fines. This is the first time this has happened in a generation since the drought of the late 80s and early 90s. Here are the rules likely to take effect soon. Businesses and homeowners will be given a month-by-month allocation. That allocation is based on the average of all users in 2013. You will have to cut your usage by 30% of that 2013 average, or else pay a fine for going over the amount. No details on the penalty yet. This affects the San Jose Water Company's 1 million customers and 80% of San Jose, Los Gatos, Saratoga, Montecito, Campbell, and parts of Cupertino. The State Public Utilities Commission is expected to approve this plan. San Jose Water will hold a public meeting at the end of May or early June and then implement these tough new rules shortly thereafter. We're live in downtown San Jose. Kit Doe, KPIX 5.
Developing news in Santa Barbara County. A second person has turned himself in a shooting and assault near UCSB. 2 people were shot last night in an apartment a half block from campus, and a third victim was assaulted. All are expected to survive. The campus was on a brief lockdown. The same Isla Vista area was the scene of a mass shooting nearly a year ago in which 6 people died, including 3 from the Bay Area. CAL FIRE is trying to determine the cause of a grass fire in southern Santa Clara County. It burned 10 acres yesterday afternoon in San Martin. 2 homes were briefly evacuated off Santa Teresa Boulevard, but crews were able to contain the fire before the flames reached those homes. 1 firefighter was treated for a sprained ankle.
6:03 outside of the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza. I'm told that Liz is having an easy breezy day.
Yeah, I mean, the commute is picking up a little bit now that we're past 6 o'clock. But yeah, as far as big accidents goes, major stalls like that, we're really not seeing much since we've been on the air for the last hour and a half. So yeah, we like to see that if that will help you out in your morning commute. Frank just mentioned the Bay Bridge. So that is our one exception. We are seeing a big backup there. There were no incidents actually, but it is stacked up through the maze. The metering lights have been on since 5:37. So it's actually just kind of your usual commute right now. 580 is starting to get slow. It's about midway to about the 24 interchange. The East Shore Freeway, though, still looks great in the green from the Carquinez Bridge to the maze. And this is our rather slow spot. Again, not uncommon at this time of the morning. The heaviest traffic where you see all that red is from North Flynn to Vasco, but then it remains sluggish straight on out to the Dublin interchange before clearing once you get into the Dublin grade. That is KCBS traffic. I know Berta's been dealing with a lot, including winds.
We've had wind gusts up to 38 miles per hour in the last 15 minutes right there at SFO. We've had 43 mile per hour wind gusts there in the last hour. As we take a look at SFO at this particular time, we are not experiencing any kind of airport delays. Right now, it's 48 degrees in Santa Rosa. It is 51 Livermore. It is 51 in Concord. But when you factor in the very gusty winds, feels pretty raw as you're heading on out the door. 20 mile per hour winds in San Francisco. Francisco. Right now, 11 in Pleasanton, 17 Oakland. Pretty breezy across the eastern portion of the bay right now, and also into the North Bay. 14-mile-per-hour wind gusts in Nevada. These winds will blow 10 to 20 today, gusts up to 35 miles per hour. By 8 a.m. as you get the kids out to school, in the 50s. Later today, with the gusty winds, 50s beaches, 60s bayside, up to the low 70s in our inland area. So the big feature today will be the winds. But Frank and Michelle, we've got rain coming. We'll talk about that 18 minutes after the hour.
Okay, Roberta, thank you much. The man accused of attacking a San Jose teen girl inside her home, scheduled to be arraigned later today. The terrifying attack caught on camera. The suspect, Muhammad Khaliki, grabs the girl, she fights back, and then the video shows Khaliki leaving. Police tracked him down after they say he went into hiding in San Leandro. Khaliki is also accused of trying to sexually assault a woman last month in a grocery store bathroom. And a serial rapist will be able to keep living in a remote area of LA County. Christopher Hubbard became known as the pillowcase rapist. Yesterday, a judge in Santa Clara County decided not to revoke Hubbard's release into the community. LA County prosecutors had argued Hubbard was a threat. He was released from a mental hospital in Kalinga last July.
More disturbing news about the Bay Bridge, where there are growing concerns about safety on the new eastern span. Lisa Chan joins us live to explain the potential damage to critical parts of the bridge. Lisa?
Good morning. Well, it's been 1 week since one of the Bay Bridge's anchor rods failed a major test. Well, now an investigation will be done to determine what's wrong with it and just how big this problem is. As much as $4 million in tollpayers' money will be spent to study the problems on the Bay Bridge's eastern span tower. Last week, the tower rod moved easily when it was tugged on, which may mean it corroded from exposure to water and fractured. Significant levels of corrosive chloride were found in some sleeves that hold 25-foot-long steel rods at the base of the tower.
As if the salt water got in there during construction, just like some of the fresh water did, we've got a finite amount of stuff, and we could eventually suction it out and dry it out and get back to where we want to be. If it's an ongoing intrusion, that's obviously much more serious and would require an investigation of the foundation itself.
The panel chief says they need to do an investigation similar to the one they did in 2013 after 32 rods failed. That investigation cost $45 million. Caltrans started testing last week for saltwater intrusion after finding out chloride levels were unusually high in water around as many as 100 rod sleeves. Now, this means that bay water could be making its way through cracks in the foundation to the anchor rods. Workers will finish removing the rods sometime next week. Live at the Bay Bridge, Lisa Chan, KPIX 5.
Debate begins today in the state capitol on whether to tax sugary drinks in California. The State Assembly Health Committee will consider a bill that calls for a 2-cent per ounce excise fee on sodas and other sugary drinks. Supporters say it would generate $3 billion a year. The money would go toward a program to prevent and treat obesity, diabetes, heart, and dental disease.
6:08 now. Plans are set for a brand new neighborhood in the city of Alameda. The proposal would build 800 homes on the site of the old naval shipyard there. Backers of the plan say 25% of the homes would be affordable rental housing.
This project will have market rate units, we'll have units for moderate income, very low, low income, and we see that as a really important piece of the project.
Plans also include a new ferry terminal, 200,000 square feet of commercial space. City has struggled to finalize a development plan ever since the Navy abandoned Alameda Point back in the 1990s.
An inmate has died as a result of last month's gas line explosion at a gun range in Fresno County. Sheriff's Department says 52-year-old Jeremiah Espino died at a hospital yesterday. It's still not clear what caused the PG&E line to explode. 2 other inmates and a county worker remain hospitalized. The inmates were doing work at the range at the time of the explosion.
It is 6:09. Up next, San Francisco's mayor laying out more details of an ambitious plan to tear down part of Highway 280, and better traffic is not the only goal.
And a class at one UC campus has one of the most unusual requirements you'll ever hear: a nude final exam.
From the KPIX Weather Center, good morning, everybody. We have rain back in the forecast, but first, the windy conditions you need to know about.
And CHP already issuing a wind advisory for the San Mateo Bridge. We'll show you how it's affecting traffic after the break.
Hi, good morning, everyone. The time now is 6:12, just turning 6:13 on this May the 12th. And as you take a look outside, we have official sun coming up over the Malvaca area. We have windswept blue skies out there. We'll talk about how hard the winds will blow today and when you should expect rain. That's coming up at 18 minutes after the hour.
Thank you, Roberta. Secretary of State John Kerry scheduled to meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin today. U.S. officials say the meeting all centered around the crisis in Syria. Kerry will try to persuade President Putin to cut ties with Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. The two leaders have been longtime allies. The Obama administration wants to force Syria's president from power.
Quarterback Tom Brady has 2 more days to appeal an NFL suspension. The Super Bowl champ and San Mateo native will be suspended for 4 games for using underinflated footballs in this year's AFC Championship. Also, the Patriots will be fined $1 million. A sports management professor in the Bay Area says the symbolism of the punishment is significant.
It's a kind of weak penalty and punishment, but I think given the kind of year or two that the NFL has had, I think it's an important line in the sand.
Others in the sports world say they are surprised that a player of Brady's caliber would be involved in such a scheme, allegedly to gain a competitive advantage in the AFC Championship game against the Indianapolis Colts.
Some more gun-related trouble for George Zimmerman, the Florida man who was acquitted of the death of teenager Trayvon Martin. He was in a dispute with another man who shot at Zimmerman's car. Windshield was hit. Zimmerman was not seriously injured. Lake Mary police say the shooter actually dialed up 911. 2 men reportedly had another dispute last year. And a citizens panel examining the shooting of a Santa Rosa teen will make their recommendations today. Andy Lopez was killed by Sheriff's Deputy Eric Gilhaas in October 2013. Press Democrat says the panel will make several recommendations to the Board of Supervisors, including establishing an independent oversight office and relieving Deputy Gilhaas of street patrol duties and reassigning him.
There are new details about a plan to tear down part of Interstate 280 in San Francisco. Under a proposal by Mayor Ed Lee, the freeway would be demolished north of Mariposa Street and Caltrain would be extended toward the proposed Warriors Arena site. The Caltrain extension alone could cost more than $5 billion. The plan also calls for new development on land currently occupied by the freeway and the Caltrain rail yard.
You probably could quite comfortably get 10,000 units of housing, about $150,000 per housing site, which would be about $1.5 billion.
Caltrain doesn't want to give up its rail yard, and there are questions about where all the freeway traffic would go. KPIX5's Phil Matier says there's already talk of a ballot measure.
Well, here's an unusual requirement for a final exam in college. Take the test naked. Yep, that's the rule for part of the final exam in a visual arts class at UCSD. Students have to act out a series of gestures, all while in the buff. One parent who didn't want to be identified is a little ticked off.
And to blanketly say, you must be naked in order to pass my class, it makes me sick to my stomach.
If they are uncomfortable with this gesture, they should not take the class.
Well, the instructor will also be naked. He says he sees it as a way to highlight performance and body art. University says the class is not required for graduation and students don't have to remove their clothes if they don't want to.
So where is this class held at? Baker Beach or what?
I
don't know.
Didn't you go to San Diego?
What? The professor, apparently the class he's been doing this for a long time, so you would think the students know what they're getting into.
San Diego State?
They do.
No, UCSD.
Oh, UCSD. Okay, yeah. See, that I was an Aztec.
Oh, there you go.
Do you ever have any of those dreams that you're naked at school? Or no, you haven't had that.
Where'd that come from?
What kind of dreams are you talking about?
All the time, Roberta.
I have those dreams. You're naked at work. No?
That you're late to class? Those kind of dreams? No. All right, let's go outside. Let's go outside. Show you what's going on. If you're heading to the Bay Bridge, this is what it looks like right now. It is stacked up. You know, I think they're slowing down those metering lights because you can see all the traffic actually on the incline portion of the span. It is pretty slow going right now. There were no incidents. There were no accidents or anything like that, but traffic is backed up. 580 is stacked up down to 24. And getting a check of the ride on the San Mateo Bridge. Southbound 880. Let's see, everything, it's moving okay once you get onto the span, even though that high wind advisory is still in effect. And southbound 880 approach is a little slow right now through Hayward, beginning to stack up right around 238. Here's a live quick look at the Dublin interchange, westbound 580. All these headlights are in the commute direction, so it is pretty slow right now from the Livermore Valley. Once you get past El Charro, though, it's pretty much smooth sailing out to the Dublin interchange, unless you are connecting to southbound 680, and then it is slow going from Pleasanton all the way down to the Sunol grade. And we also have the Amgen Tour of California. Got the bike race going on from San Jose, begins in the Berryessa neighborhood, continues out into Livermore. So these are just some of the road closures you may see as then they're heading to Mount Hamilton. But right around lunchtime, 11 a.m. to noon, that's when some of those street closures are going to be happening around the Livermore area. That's your latest KCBS Drive to Work. All right, let's get an update on your forecast.
I'm going to give a big shout out to my buddy, Fast Freddie Rodriguez from the East Bay. He's racing today, and it's a 102-mile ride today and throughout the Livermore Valley into the San Jose area. So go, Freddie, go. We have partly cloudy skies right now in the San Jose area. Temperature-wise, 47 degrees. The winds have been very problematic this morning. We've seen wind gusts up to 43 at SFO. Currently, wind gusts at 37. Sustained winds at 29. 20 in San Francisco. 12 in Fairfield. Right now, they're pretty flat in the San Jose area, but those winds will pick up 10 to 20 miles per hour. 12-mile-per-hour winds in Vallejo. So the bottom line is it will be a blustery day today. And hour by hour in San Francisco, we have temperatures climbing up to the low 60s, unseasonably cool across the Bay Area. The cooler air aloft has just wiped away the marine layer. Just a swath of some clouds passing through today. We'll call it partly cloudy. Those clouds associated with that right here, that's keeping us on the cool side. But we have yet another area of low pressure. This one right here. This promises to bring us some rain showers by Thursday, up to about a quarter of an inch in the wettest locations, and then a chance of a lingering shower on Friday. It's in the 50s, going up to 74 in Sacramento. It's currently in the 40s in Monterey. It's 45 in Tahoe, going up to 55. Our temperatures, 50s beaches, 50s, 60s Bayside, mid-60s Peninsula, to the high 60s and few low 70s in our inland areas. But again, very windy day today, especially for the Amgen cyclists. There you have the rain moving back into the forecast on Thursday and Friday. Boy, and Thursday, Frank and Michelle, that is bike to work day. Little light rain.
That's right, Roberta. All right, thank you. Time now is 6:20. A new push to overhaul the nation's air traffic control system. Why some lawmakers want to hand over the controls to private companies.
Good morning, everyone. Down 2-1 against the Grizzlies. Steve Kerr called Game 4 a moment of truth, and his team responded, especially the MVP. There were some back flips happening outside the grindhouse, not many inside. The Warriors turned 16 turnovers into 18 points. Steph Curry, the steal, 14-point Warrior lead. Defense was superb, holding Memphis to 37% shooting. Andrew Bogut swats it away, led to a Curry three. He had 4 threes, equal to games 2 and 3 combined. Marc Gasol, Zach Randolph were great in game 3. Not so much last night. Draymond Green picks it off coast to coast. And the Warriors had a 19-point lead. Draymond had 16. Here comes the dagger. Klay Thompson somehow sinks it from the corner. The Warriors win 101-84, and they tie the series at 2. The difference, Curry's culinary exploits in Memphis.
Did the barbecue help? Catfish. I had catfish. Yes, it did, though.
I want them to be hungry to improve, and I want them to understand that nothing's happened yet.
And last night, Pablo Sandoval back in the Bay Area with the Red Sox. Game tied at 4 in the 11th, and the Panda hit a line drive over the wall for Boston, and that is the difference maker. Panda is red hot. The Red Sox win, and the Athletics, who go down 5-4, are 10 games under 500. They're off to their worst start since 1994. Right side, Warriors win, and Game 5 tomorrow night at Oracle. I'm Dennis O'Donnell. See you tonight.
Thank you, Dennis. Play of the day. How about some NBA? We got Atlanta and Washington, and it's Nene with a monster slam. Here he goes, windmill variety. Boom! Got it, but in the end, the Wizards fell to the Hawks 106-101. That series tied up at 2 games apiece. Your play of the day.
It is 6:25 right now. Another major earthquake rocked Nepal this morning. We'll update you on the damage and the search for survivors in the devastated region.
And I'm Kit Doe live in San Jose. Brace yourself. Mandatory water cuts and penalties are coming.
from the CBS Bay Area studios. This is KPIX 5 News.
South Bay family comes face to face with armed intruders while the homeowner had just installed the cameras that caught the crime.
I'm Lisa Chan, live at the Bay Bridge, where toll payers will be paying for a new investigation after an anchor rod failed a key test. We'll have that story coming up.
Rain is back in the weather picture for the end of the week, but first we've got to talk about today's wind.
And we do have a handful of new crashes just coming in, including this one in Burlingame along 280. We'll have the latest details coming up.
Thank you, Liz. Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday. It's May the 12th. I'm Frank Malika.
And I'm Michelle Griego. Time now is 6:30. Right now, the death toll exceeds 40, with more than 1,100 injured after another strong earthquake struck Nepal. It had a magnitude of 7.3 and was centered near the Chinese border. It was followed by at least 5 aftershocks. Today's deadly earthquake comes less than a month after a more severe earthquake killed thousands. As Jonathan Vigliotti tells us, today's quake did not last long, but felt just as strong.
Cameras in Kathmandu's parliament captured the terror as people ran to safety. Bricks and debris fell into the streets as a second deadly earthquake hit Nepal. Residents say the 7.3 quake felt just as strong as last month's tremor, but didn't last as long.
There was no mistaking what was happening. The buildings were buckling, the cars were shaking, everybody filled out into the courtyard.
It's been less than 3 weeks since a 7.8 magnitude quake destroyed buildings and killed more than 8,000 people. Today's quake, considered an aftershock, hit close to Mount Everest, near Nepal's border with China. International aid groups are already in the country helping people recover from the last disaster. Jonathan Vigliotti, CBS News.
Dozens of people still crowding a shelter in a Texas town hit by a destructive tornado. Sunday's twister is linked to the deaths of 2 people in Van. That's about 70 miles southeast of Dallas. The American Red Cross says nearly 120 homes are destroyed or damaged. Search crews continue to look for victims and survivors there, even though everyone is accounted for. And in the most dramatic sign yet of the state's historic drought, mandatory water rationing is going into effect for 1 million people in the South Bay. KPIX 5's Kit Doe is in San Jose to break down the numbers and tell us who is affected by all this. Good morning.
Good morning. If you are a customer of San Jose Water, get ready for a major lifestyle change. If not, get ready to pay. In just a couple of weeks, nearly every customer in the South Bay will face mandatory water cuts or else pay stiff fines. It is the first time a major city in California has done it. It's the first time it's happened in a generation since the drought of the late 80s and early 90s. Now, here are the rules likely to take effect soon. Businesses and homeowners will be given a month-by-month allocation. That allocation is based on the average of all users in 2013. You will have to cut your own usage by 30% of that 2013 average, or else pay a fine for going over the amount. No details on the penalty yet. Now, this affects the San Jose Water Company's 1 million customers in 80% of San Jose, Los Gatos, Saratoga, Montecito, Campbell, and parts of Cupertino. The State Public Utilities Commission is expected to approve this plan. San Jose Water will have a public meeting at the end of May or early June and then implement these new rules shortly thereafter. We're live in downtown San Jose. Kit Doe, KPIX 5.
All right, well, let's get a look at our weather. Rain in the forecast.
Well, you know, I remember those mandatory cutbacks in San Jose the last time around. I was living there in San Jose, and it was dire times for all of us. And here we go again. We do have rain back at the forecast as early as Thursday, but anywhere from about 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch anticipated in the wettest locations. Right now, what we're addressing is the wind. It's gusting up to 37 miles per hour at SFO. Very breezy conditions, west 10 to 20 throughout the day. Higher gusts up to 35. So when you couple that up with the air temperatures in the 40s and 50s, it feels pretty raw for this Tuesday. Doesn't feel very spring-like at all. Here's your numbers anticipated by 8 a.m. when you get the kids out for school today into the 50s. We will experience a very blustery coastal day into the 50s. 50s, 60s Bayside, mid-60s around the peninsula, high 60s, low 70s, few low 70s into our inland areas where we have the Amgen tour going on. Very blustery for the cyclists. We've got rain in the picture. We'll pinpoint that. That's coming up at about 48 minutes after the hour. But first, here's Liz.
Okay, thank you, Roberta. So I mentioned a couple of new accidents just rolling into our newsroom. I want to show you the worst one right now. It's definitely through Berkeley if you're about to hit the East Shore Freeway, westbound 80 at University Avenue. It's a multi-car wreck blocking just one lane, but look what it's doing to the commute. It is solid already from at least Albany and growing, so I'm sure that East Shore Freeway drive time is really stacking up. It was already backed up anyway, just east of the MacArthur Maze heading to the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza. 580 approach also heavy from the 24 interchange, but the East Shore Freeway, that is definitely our hot spot out the door. Also, right around the same time that accident popped up, this one happened. This is in Burlingame, northbound 280 approaching Truesdale Drive. The slow lane is blocked as well as possibly the off-ramp. The accident's mainly near the off-ramp, so that may be partially closed. Fortunately, we're not seeing any big delays on either side of the freeway. That is KCBS traffic. Back to you guys.
Some of the best cyclists in the world will be riding through the Bay Area today. Stage 3 of the Amgen Tour of California will kick off today. The race will start in San Jose, then head north toward Livermore before circling back over Mount Hamilton. British rider Mark Cavendish was the winner yesterday during Stage 2 in Lodi. He also took Stage 1 in Sacramento on Sunday. Today's race through San Jose and Livermore are the only Bay Area stops for the race. The tour wraps up in downtown Los Angeles on May 17th.
Confidence about Bay Bridge safety taking another hit with growing concerns about potential water damage to that new eastern span. Lisa Chan joins us live now to explain why this will lead to expensive new studies. Good morning, Lisa.
Good morning. Well, the head of the panel overseeing the new eastern span of the Bay Bridge says it is going to cost $4 million in toll payers' money to figure out just how bad this problem is. 1 week ago, one of the 400-plus anchor rods failed a key test, which means it may have been exposed to water and fractured from corrosion. Tests also show significant levels of corrosive chloride in some of the sleeves holding steel rods at the base of the tower. The head of the panel says this new information is a game changer.
We paid that money to get a bridge that would last 150 years, and we are not going to rest until we're assured that we're getting that investment in full on this structure.
Under the plan approved last night, Caltrans will finish testing for possible saltwater intrusion and remove the rod that failed last week to figure out what's wrong with it. The rods are what keep the tower from heaving dangerously in a major earthquake. Caltrans' chief engineer told the oversight panel that even with this new information, he still believes the Bay Bridge is safe. At the Bay Bridge, Lisa Chan, KPIX 5.
A 17-year-old will be arraigned in court today for allegedly sexually assaulting a pizza delivery driver in Antioch. Prosecutors say Darian Miles Jr. kidnapped and raped the female delivery driver back in February. Miles will be tried as an adult. He's being held on more than $6 million bail. Miles faces a possible life sentence.
Robbers target a San Jose home twice, but this time, the intruders are caught on camera, and this morning they're still on the loose. Armed with knives last Friday, the would-be robbers searched bedrooms upstairs until they got into a room where 3 family members were hiding. They called police, which scared off those robbers.
If they wanted to fight with somebody, they should come visit me. All they are here is to rob homes, and on the way, if somebody comes in between, they can hurt. They don't care. They don't have family, probably. They don't care about mothers, sisters, children. So those criminals have no religion.
Homeowner decided to install the surveillance cameras after his home was targeted the first time.
Tonight, the Berkeley City Council will consider requiring notices about cell phones and radiation. The proposal would make retailers put stickers on cell phone packaging warning people that the devices may emit cancer-causing radiation and that they should keep phones away from their bodies. One councilman calls the danger credible. If enacted, the law would be the first of its kind in the country. A plan to reshape the nation's air traffic control system is gaining support. The Wall Street Journal says some airlines and labor unions back a proposal in Congress to move the air control staff away from the FAA and put them under a nonprofit corporation. Supporters say that would assure more reliable funding from fees paid by airlines, but opponents are concerned about potential layoffs and erosion of safety.
It is 6:39. San Jose moving forward with a plan to hold police accountable on the heels of a report suggesting some officers are targeting minorities.
Automakers are rushing to introduce self-driving vehicles, but Self-driving doesn't always mean the same thing. We'll take a look at the future of automated travel.
Active, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Time check is 6:42 on this Tuesday morning. And while the wind is certainly the big story of the day today, so is the very cool temperatures. 57 degrees in Pacifica, 58 in Half Moon Bay. We will have some partly cloudy skies, 68 degrees in Morgan Hill. Temperatures today running below average in the eastern portion of the Bay Area with the west winds 10 to 20, gusts up to 35 miles per hour. Temperatures in the high 60s, few low 70s. North of the Golden Gate Bridge, a blustery day, Stinson Beach and Bodega Bay in the mid 50s with winds up to 30 miles per hour. 67 degrees in Sonoma today, and it will be windy and cool in Windsor in the mid-60s.
Thanks, Roberta. Verizon did a little shopping today. They bought AOL for more than $4 million in a bid to gain advantage in online video.
Here now is KCBS Radio's financial reporter Jason Brooks with more. Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle. Good morning, Frank. Certainly a big deal. AOL owns several properties, including the Huffington Post, Engadget, and TechCrunch. But really, the deal for Verizon is all about the online advertising technology developed by AOL. It's some of the most advanced in the online business. CEO Tim Armstrong came aboard in 2009, really put the focus on that technology. Verizon plans to launch a mobile video service this summer and would likely use this technology in order to leverage the advertising dollars from that perspective. Also this morning, Gap down significantly after reporting that its same-store sales in the first quarter fell 4%. Tough time for Banana Republic. It was down 8%, and the namesake Gap chain down 10%. Old Navy was the lone bright spot as its sales headed higher by 3%. Shares of Gap are dropping this morning in the early going. Stock market got off to a slow start on Monday, and we're giving up some more ground this morning. Let's take a look at the big board and see how we're doing so far. The Dow dropping now more than 160 points. NASDAQ is down by 54. S&P lower by 17 points. Shares in the Gap down 3.5%. Michelle and Frank, back to you.
All right, Jason Brooks from KCBS News. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. It is 6:44 now. The mayor of San Jose says he wants every cop on the street to wear a body camera by next spring. Sam Liccardo wants to shorten a test run with the goal of having all police officers on patrol wearing cameras by June of next year. Cost would be about $1 million for some 500 officers on patrol. City and the police unions are now close to resolving concerns that officers' rights and privacy are protected.
The mayor's announcement comes a day after a troubling revelation that police in San Jose stop minorities at a much higher rate than other people. The Mercury News found blacks and Latinos make up slightly more than a third of the city's population, but those groups account for nearly 2/3 of its traffic stops. Those drivers were also much more likely to be detained or searched.
What we're seeing in the data and what we're hearing in the community, it's clear that we've got some work to do. I think we've got a great department. I think we're the most professional department in the country, but we can do better.
The city's independent police auditor is now reviewing the data.
Let's keep that traffic boat going and kick it over to Liz and see how we're doing on the road.
Yeah, you know, KCBS Sky 3 just flew over the scene of that wreck in Berkeley that we've been talking about approaching University. They gave the all clear, so that's good news. All lanes are now back open. Unfortunately, we have some pretty good sized delays coming out of Richmond. You can see a little bit of that backup right there as you head out of the Carlson area all the way down into the Emeryville area, but the real bottleneck there is between Albany and Berkeley. But again, now that they reopen lanes, it is going to take a while for traffic to recover because it's a slow spot anyway. The drive time is 36 minutes from the Carquinez Bridge to the Maze. The Bay Bridge backup is east of the Maze as well. If you're traveling along 580, it's pretty stacked up from the 24 interchange. Getting a check of the Walnut Creek commute. Right now we're seeing some slower speeds between Treat and 24 if you're traveling in southbound 680. But what's interesting is the San Mateo Bridge ride is much slower than normal for this time of the morning. There was a high wind advisory posted by CHP, so separate from the National Weather Service, right around 5 o'clock this morning. And we've seen bigger delays ever since then, since about the 880 interchange on 92 all the way out to the high rise. So yeah, that's definitely your commute direction already in the red, and that wind advisory is not helping that drive. And if you're heading to the Richmond Santa Fe Bridge, this is what it looks like right now on the approach, and you can see it is slow once you get past Richmond Parkway. That is KCBS traffic. Let's get an update on these windy conditions. Here's Roberta.
We have a couple of things we want to share with you at this particular time. We just had Holly Kwan send us in a photograph from Burlingame where she said that she captured this scaffolding that fell down outside of an Audi dealership. It was the Rector Audi dealership, and that scaffolding did fall on some parked cars, but not the new cars. But we want to thank KCBS reporter Holly Kwan for sending that in to us right here at KPIX. Hey, by the way, we have a sunup and a sunrise for you today, officially at 6:03, and by the time the sun sets at 6:10, we will have seen a very blustery day right here in the Bay Area. Had a little bit of computer glitches here, but this is what it looks like out the door right now. Clear skies looking out towards the Golden Gate Bridge. Temperature-wise, we are into the 40s and into the 50s. The winds will continue to blow today. They've been out of the west 10 to 20 miles per hour. Gusts today already up to 43 miles per hour at SFO. It's going to be a very blustery day throughout the day, and the winds will increase tonight up to 30 miles per hour with even stronger gusts. We do have winds right now in Novato at 12, 17 in Fairfield. Windy conditions scouring out the marine layer. We have a swath of clouds moving across the Bay Area right now, and that's all associated with an area of low pressure. It is precipitation free, but nevertheless, it's drawing down that cooler air mass. This is a second area of low pressure that's queued, and it's already beginning to progress in a southerly direction. Looks like it'll make its tracks towards the Bay Area on Thursday with about 1/4 of an inch of rain. 70s today, state capital, 57 degrees Monterey Bay. Again, we already featured this, the sun up and the sun down, and smack in between today. Cooler air mass, cooler today than yesterday, 50s and 60s, few low 70s, but it's the wind everybody's going to be talking about. 10 to 20, gusts up to 35. Then tonight, increasing 20 to 30 miles per hour. Tomorrow, another breezy, cool day and increasing cloud cover. And that will lead to about a quarter of an inch of rain on Thursday. A chance of a lingering shower on Friday. And remember, it is bike to work day on Thursday. Frank and Michelle?
Grab a poncho. Okay, thank you. It is 6:49 now. Before long, California drivers will have to share the roads with self-driving vehicles from a number of different companies.
CNET Editor Sharon Profis is here to explain how one truck in particular will affect the future of all automated vehicles.
Yeah, so last week we talked about how the first driverless commercial truck is hitting the road in Nevada, one of the few states that actually allow this type of technology to hit the road. But this actually represents something bigger. This is a big point in the progression of the expansion of driverless cars. So for starters, the truck could very well speed up the expansion just by providing these data points. Trucks drive a lot of miles, so you can imagine every mile is a data point that can help us decide how soon and exactly how the rollout of driverless cars will happen. So that's one thing, but even though they are called driverless cars, the human is still a very important element. So check out this list of levels that describe how driverless cars work. So level 0 is no automation. We really don't have very many of these on the road anymore. Level 1 is limited assistance. So you can think about it like electronic stability control or automatic braking. Level 2 is at least 2 controls working together, and level 3 is where this truck falls in. So it is fully automated, but it still requires the assistance of a driver. So truck drivers still play a very important role here until level 4 comes around and full self-driving rolls out.
How far away are we from that?
We are quite a few years away because, as we know, California has nearly 50 cars on the road. There is a program in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and then this truck hitting the road in Nevada. We are still in the data collection phase. In theory, these cars could hit the road, but we don't know just how fast.
Yeah, we'll have to
And here are some of the states where it's permitted.
Nevada, Florida, California, Michigan. So just 4 states. We're taking this very slowly to collect more data.
And there were a couple of accidents, but we were talking off camera. I guess it wasn't the Google car that.
Right. So a report came out yesterday that these driverless cars are getting into accidents, and then Google came out and responded that, in fact, it wasn't their car's fault. Although, in an ideal world, the cars would still be able to avoid these accidents. So that's why we need more data.
Yeah.
All right, Sharon, thank you.
Good stuff. Thanks, Sharon.
Well, nail salons are often known for toxic working conditions, but some salons in the Bay Area are trying to change that. Nails by Lisa in Pacifica are using less toxic products and having employees wear better protection. The changes cost a bit more. These high-quality carbon masks are twice as much as the regular ones, and the salon had to toss out their old polishes and removers, but the owners say it's all worth it.
We spend a lot of time in our nail salon, so it's good for us, first of all, and then the benefit of the customer.
Nails by Lisa is one of about 50 salons in California that's part of the Healthy Nail Salon Collaborative. The program provided this $1,000 ventilation machine.
It is 6:52. Up next, another shooting involving George Zimmerman, and this time someone else is claiming self-defense.
And I'm Kit Doe live in San Jose, where the drought is finally hitting home. Mandatory water cuts and penalties are coming.
5 things to know at the 55. At least 37 people are dead after another major earthquake in Nepal. The magnitude 7.3 quake was centered in a remote mountain region, but it did topple buildings in the capital city of Kathmandu. People there say today's quake felt just as strong as the one last month, but it didn't last as long.
Emergency teams in Van, Texas, searching for anyone still missing after Sunday's powerful tornado. Officials in the small town say everyone is accounted for, but they're still checking the rubble to be safe. At least 5 people in Texas and Arkansas were killed during all this violent weather.
Another shooting involving the man who shot and killed Trayvon Martin. George Zimmerman told police in Florida the man shot at his car yesterday. Matthew Apperson says he fired in self-defense when Zimmerman waved a gun at him. The two men had an ongoing dispute last year. Apperson told police Zimmerman threatened to kill him.
And today, California lawmakers will take up a plan to impose a statewide tax on sugary drinks. The bill would add a 2-cent per ounce fee on soda and similar drinks. Supporters say that would add up to $3 billion a year. That money would fund health programs in California.
The Western Conference semifinals shift back to Oakland, tied at 2 games apiece. The Warriors evened their series with the Grizzlies last night in Memphis, led by 33 points from Steph Curry. Game 5 is tomorrow night at Oracle at 7:30.
And I'm Kit Doe. We are live at the headquarters of San Jose Water Company, where they announced some big plans last night. San Jose is now the first big city in California to make water cuts mandatory. In just a couple of weeks, nearly everybody in the South Bay will face mandatory water cuts or else pay some stiff fines. This is the first time it's happened in a generation since the drought of the late 80s and early 90s. Now, here are the rules likely to take effect soon. Businesses and homeowners will be given a month-by-month allocation. That allocation is based on the average of all users in 2013. You will have to cut your usage by 30% of that 2013 average, or else pay a fine for going over the amount. No details on the penalty yet. Now, this affects the San Jose Water Company's 1 million customers in 80% of San Jose, Los Gatos, Saratoga, Montecito, Campbell, and parts of Cupertino. The State Public Utilities Commission is expected to approve this plan. San Jose Water will have a public meeting at the end of this month or early in June, and then implement these tough new rules shortly thereafter. We're live in downtown San Jose. Kit Doe, KPIX 5.
And a final check of your KCBS drive to work. You notice a lot of slow traffic out of Richmond right now in westbound 80. It's because of an earlier crash in Berkeley at University. I know that tree is blocking a large portion of the camera, but trust me, it's very heavy right now on the East Shore Freeway. And San Mateo Bridge traffic also unusually slow. They have a high wind advisory in effect. That is a look at the westbound ride.
Yeah, it's a very windy day today for the Amgen Tour California. Take a look at the wind right now at the Embarcadero, blowing up to 18 miles per hour. You couple that up with an air temperature in the 40s and 50s. It feels raw out the door. You're going to need a jacket today. Numbers coming in below average into the 50s, the 60s, and few low 70s well inland. But it's the west wind 10 to 20 miles per hour with gusts up to 35 throughout the day. That'll make you feel that chill in the air. Winds increase tonight 20 to 30 miles per hour. Then we have increasing clouds Wednesday with rain arriving on Thursday and a chance on Friday.
Did you bring your Ultra Hold hairspray today?
Big sexy hair.
Yeah, there you go. All right, thanks for watching, everyone.
Have a good day, everybody.